This kind of stuff really just pisses me off. It really does, to a pretty substantial margin. And yeah, so I just wanted to go over some of the comments. I want to let you know I don't hate you as a person. I don't hate anybody who is here talking in the comments as a person. In fact, I love everybody because I think that what's going to happen here is I just want to reach out. All right, I just want people. Uh, I want people to effectively know what effectively is going on. Someone I know just got an honorable discharge from a service because they were refused the jab. I know nurses who are being forced into the jab, and I can tell you that there are so many others who will not. When our choice is not honored, there is a problem. The jab should be a choice, and I would not come against either choice. And so they're showing this nice little infographic of this is not a choice. And of course, you could see they got to walk through the jab because they're going to probably fall off the cliff or something. Of course, got it. Awesome. I can actually give you the actual medical consensus of what exactly happens in terms of the COVID-19 SARS-CoV-2 vaccine. I responded saying, you are harming others by not following the speed limit. Just as being asymptomatic but positive, you are harming people by being around those without taking reasonable measures. So they said, with that same train of thought, if you have taken the shot, why be afraid or angry when you're supposed to be immune to the virus and we cannot pass it along? I said, because other people are literally killing people with their own ignorance. See, look, this is another freedom fighter right here, saying by getting the shot, you are not immune to the virus. Rather, if you contract COVID, your chances of serious illness with long-term side effects, going on a ventilator, and death is substantially less. That is medically true. The medical consensus shows this. I can provide papers if you really want to see papers, but I highly, highly doubt, even if I show papers, that it would even matter. Because what's going to happen is, when I show you the papers, you're going to say, well, how do I know that I could trust the medical consensus? Aren't they like in there with Big Pharma? So here's the problem with that. How strong do you think Big Pharma is? Think about it. The entire world is using the medical consensus. The entire world is trying to get people vaccinated. You're telling me Pfizer, BioNTech, you're telling me that Moderna, you think that these companies are so powerful that they can influence the entire world government in such a way that everybody is going to... We can't even agree with an economic consensus. We can't even agree with like instances of climate change. And you're telling me that these two companies have gotten it all figured out and that we're all going to agree on this and then it's all like one big giant government world order? This is absolutely idiotic. It's so stupid. So here, check this out. Oh my God, this comment drives me freaking up a wall. All right, right here, Sovereign Media, testimony from vaccine. I love this. I love this link. Do you know why I love this link? Do you know why? Because none of this is actually valid by any stretch of the imagination. Literally Google for 5 minutes, who is Sovereign.media? Sovereign.media is a content creator. It's a literal content creator with a freaking Twitter account. Are you serious? You're going to sit there. They're like shilling their crap so that way you get to click and click and click on their crap and then they're going to make money off of you. Meanwhile, other people are literally dying because of people like this. Are you serious? That's what's actually happening. Okay, I could give you the medical consensus on how exactly it works. I can give the actual system, how it's supposed to work. I can give it to you. Here, let's try this. We'll do this. You can type in right now, who is Sovereign Media? This is a 3.0. You have a 3.0, right? Here's a rating. There's only 2 people who's effectively rated. So that's how tiny these people are. They're so little. But like again, this is just content creation. And look at this. Plandemic, exclusive, COVID. So they're doing this to feed you information. They're doing this so they can get you to click on something they're going to get some money from their advertisers and everybody's happy. They're tailoring the information in such a way that whatever it is that you want to hear is what they're going to feed you. But where was the other link? Right here. There was the sovereign media. I thought there was another one here. Citizen free press. So again, you can Google this. You can Google like who is citizen free press, right? Control C, Control T. Who is citizen free press, right? Oh, but Google is probably also one of the people that are in the cabal. You can't trust Google results. Look, if you take a look right here, here's the problem, okay? If you want to use DuckDuckGo, there's nothing wrong with DuckDuckGo. Go use DuckDuckGo. I don't care. Literally just type in who is Citizen Free Press. You can get the information, okay? You don't need to use Google. It's not that big of a deal, okay? If you really think that Google is out to get you, then fine. Use DuckDuckGo, okay? So let's look here. Who is Citizen Free Press? Let me see. American News Aggregator. Okay. Website regarded as a conservative, and the Axios call it a fringe right website that links out stories using hyper-partisan headlines. Okay. The website is headquartered in Bloomington, Indiana. Citizen Free Press launched in 2017. Citizen Free Press was mentioned as a competitor to the Drudge Report. Okay. So I understand that like media is going to be biased. That's perfectly normal. Again, the medical consensus is not, and I repeat, is not out to get you. The medical consensus is not interested in whatever political ideology you hold. Doesn't care. The coronavirus does not care about your political affiliation. This is not about right versus left. This is literally about arming people with the tools necessary to be able to discern reality from imagination. So to understand this next paper that I wanted to show, it's kind of like a required to understand that how exactly that viruses evolve. In this particular instance, it's not regarding viruses. It is in regards to bacteria, but the principle is effectively the same. So I just wanted to share with you a quick video, and I'll give you a little bit of commentary, I guess. But this is an accredited medical school, the Harvard Medical School. It's a fascinating video. So I'm just going to show it real quick. So on this particular part, it appears that they had some licensed music, and I didn't realize that until I had uploaded it, but it's really important on the part that they actually talk about in this video, so I wanted to see if I could just simply repeat it without having the music. So we ended up building a petri dish, except that it is 2 feet by 4 feet. And that the way we set it up is that there are 9 bands. And at the base of these bands, we put a normal petri dish thick agar. With different amounts of antibiotic on the outside, there is no antibiotic. Just in from that, there's barely more than the E. coli can survive. Inside of that, there's 10 times as much, 100 times, and in the middle, 1,000 times as much. And then across the top of it, poured some thin agar that the bacteria can move around in, and the background is black because there's ink in it, and the bacteria appear as white.
First, you see they spread in the area where there's no antibiotic.
So without getting like too bogged into the details, I mean, I'll go ahead and keep playing it, but without getting too bogged into details, basically what they're trying to show is that it's possible for bacteria, in this particular video it's bacteria, but it doesn't matter, viruses are the same way, that they can evolve in such a way where they become resistant to to the antibiotic. In this case, it's with a bacteria. Bacteria are with antibiotics, whereas a virus wouldn't necessarily be that. It would require a vaccine. But anyway, let's just...
Up until the point they can no longer survive. Then a mutant appears on the right.
So they called it a mutant there because that normally nothing can seem to like pass through it because the antibiotic is already there in the agar plate. But there are some that mutate that are able to resist the antibiotic.
resistant to the antibiotic, it spreads until it starts to compete with other mutants around it.
And you could see the same exact
When these
mutation
mutants hit the
happening
next
the same
boundary,
in different
they
waves.
too have to pause and develop new mutations to make it into 10 times as much antibiotic.
So there you go. There's one there. They're getting into the 10-time antibiotic, and watch it gets all the
And then
way
you see
into
the different
thousands.
mutants repeat this
which
at
is
100. And after about 11 days, they finally make it into 1,000 times as much antibiotic as the wild type can survive. And
Okay.
so we can see by this process of accumulating successive mutations that bacteria, which are normally sensitive to an antibiotic, can evolve resistance to extremely high concentrations in a short period of time.
Okay. So what that means is people or the virus will actually mutate in such a way that it can actually become resistant to the vaccine. We can prove this via this. I understand this is just bacteria, but it's the same process. It's the same way that it goes about it. So now the question becomes, what does the medical consensus say about it? So here's the Lancet, right? On the findings, this is specifically in regards to the effectiveness of the vaccine, the COVID-19 vaccine, okay, up to 6 months in a large integrated health system. Okay, so what they found, now you're going to see that there's going to be a decrease. Well, hold on, I'll explain it. So between the December 14th, 2020 and August 8th of 2021, 4,920,549 individuals assessed for eligibility. We include 3,436,957 people, median age of 45 years. You could see that there's all the stats right there. I'm not going to read them out. For fully vaccinated individuals, effectiveness against SARS-CoV-2 infections was 73%, and against COVID-19 related hospital admissions was 90%. Effectiveness against infections declined from 88% during the first month after full vaccination to 47% after 5 months. Among sequenced infections, vaccine effectiveness against infections of the Delta variants was high during the first month after full vaccination, but declined to 53% after 4 months. Effectiveness against other non-Delta variants and the first month after full vaccination was also high at 97%, but waned to 67% after 4 to 5 months. Vaccine effectiveness against hospital admissions for infections with the Delta variant for all ages was high overall, up to 6 months. So, even accounting for the fact that the virus has become resistant, it doesn't actually matter because it is still substantially resistant. A 50% reduction is nothing to cough at. However, people who make the argument that we effectively should keep this petri dish where some people are vaccinated and others are not, you basically try to adhere to making the virus more powerful by spreading this information. Again, so we can look up who is the Lancet, right? Again, so who is the Lancet? I already know that's like the most prestigious medical journal that in existence. There it is. While it is true that a bad article can get published on these publishing pages, what they'll do is that they'll often retract or they'll get rid of it in the event that they find out that it's not a good article. But you can look up again, like who is the Lancet? Oop, hold on, that wasn't good. Let's try this. Who is the Lancet? Yep, the Lancet Medical Journal. So we're going to look at the Lancet is a weekly peer-reviewed general medical journal. It is amongst the world's oldest and best-known general medical journals. It was founded in 1823 by Thomas Wakeley, an English surgeon who named it after the surgical instrument called the Lancet. Okay, so this is the source that I'm going to be using. Now you can use Sovereign and Citizen Free Press, or you can look at the medical consensus, not what a Republican or Democrat is telling you, not anything like that. It is simply the medical consensus. What do they agree on? Okay, let's see. I just want to read that again. Let's read that again. I love it. This is great. The response was so great. I just loved it. It was, let's take a look. Ignorance? Who is ignorant? What you're talking about are laws, speed limit. Okay, first of all, form a sentence. So I'll help you out. Who is ignorant? What you're talking about is our speed limit laws. He's pushing a shot that does little to no benefit for anybody, either vaxxed or unvaxxed. Shows how ignorant you are. Okay, talking about hundreds of thousands of people. So if we're talking about like 700,000 people, if you think about that, right? Would you rather have like double that amount? Like that doesn't make any sense. You just would generally get the vaccine. People have a high chance of spreading the virus to other people, especially in a medical setting, right? Why in the world would you not enforce having vaccines? Why would you not do that? I'm serious. That's a legitimate question. I love it how you're comparing. No, I am comparing apples and oranges in terms of the speed limit laws. But we don't get mad at the government for instilling a speed limit law. But the logic of a speed limit law is effectively the same as the coronavirus. So how this works is the government forces you to do a thing that removes your freedom, aka the need to move 80 miles an hour down a neighborhood road. However, by forcing you to not do this, then what happens is you don't kill as many people. So other people get to live their life by limiting your freedom. We got lots of laws like that. They're called tort laws. We don't allow you to put a trash fire out in the middle of your property. We don't allow that. Why don't we allow that? Because it degrades the air quality. That's why we don't allow that. Because no other people don't want to smell your trash fire. You have a stoplight. You have to sit there at the stoplight. Why do we have a stoplight? So you don't crash into other people, killing like a family of 5. Do you really think that you should have a right to kill other people around you, even though that you aren't even aware that you're doing that? You really think that we should do nothing about that? I wonder how you would think about Typhoid Mary. Do you know who Typhoid Mary is? Typhoid Mary is a lady who decided that she wanted to she had typhoid, but she was asymptomatic of typhoid, and she cooked for people. It was usually people who are of like of aristocracy. It was usually wealthy people. So the problem that we're having here is Typhoid Mary. She cooks for people, and then she started, other people contracted typhoid around her, and people were dying. And so the government went to Typhoid Mary telling them that, no, you can't do this. And she, because she was asymptomatic, thought the government was after her and that it was unjust. So she would flee town, go to another town, and continue cooking. And then she would, because wherever she had typhoid, she would contract, people would end up getting a sudden outbreak of typhoid. So the government knew exactly where she was. They were very easy to find her because everywhere she went, people started contracting typhoid. So when they would find her, they would try to catch her. And this happened like 2 or 3 times until they finally put her in jail, and they kept her in there pretty much for the rest of her life. Now, thankfully, in the case of coronavirus, we wouldn't ever put anybody in jail. What we would do is that we would suggest that people get the vaccine. And especially if there's an employer where the health of people is required, such as you're in a hospital, This is amazing. Of course, you're going to get an honor. You're going to get a discharge. This makes, in fact, a lot of the times, what a company will do is that they'll actually put the carrot before the stick, offering you a monetary gain for getting the vaccine because they know the vaccine has an efficacy. They know that the masks have a good efficacy rating, even if you wear a shitty cloth mask. I'm serious. This is real. So stop spreading the misinformation. It drives me up a wall. I've spent all this time trying to talk about this to you, but I feel like this is just going to fall on deaf ears. But you know what? That's that's fine. Y'all have a good day. I mean, if you guys just want to believe what you want to believe, then fine. Go ahead and believe what you want to believe. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. Thank you.